Today's race coverage on the Nashville Network is being brought to you by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. If you're just joining us here on the Nashville Network for the continuing coverage of today's race, you've missed a lot, and you haven't missed a lot because we've still got more than half the race to go, and we've already had 9 cautions. There's our leaderboard right at the moment, with Chuck Bound having taken the lead from our pole sitter Steve Grissom on lap 88. Kenny Wallace has been close, but not that close in recent laps, with Bobby Dotter running a great race in third. Troy Beebe is dragging his bumper around the track. He was hoping it would fall off, but he's been black flagged by NASCAR to come in and get it removed. And all in all, I would say that the way we're headed right now, looking at cars like Mike Wallace's, who is showing more than just a little bit of short track damage, that a rookie driver who had a great run last week, that this race may be over before sunset, maybe not.
Mike Wallace, he may have to make an unscheduled pit stop here in just a moment. Same problem as Troy Beebe. The rear bumper, the rubber part of that rear bumper hanging loose and dragging on the racetrack. And, of course, NASCAR conceded it's fluorescent green. I mean, they can't miss that.
It's pretty hard to hide that one. I don't know who let the gremlins out of the bag here this afternoon, but...
and here's a replay of the reason for our latest caution. As you see, Richard Lassiter and Troy Beebe got together.
Looks like Jeff Burton also got into the back bumper of Troy Beebe just a little bit. And you see Lassiter's car climbing up the passenger side of that Taco Bell machine. Maybe you want a little door-to-door service there.
Well, and Mark, this was directly after I had commented and commended Troy Beebe on the fine job he was doing, and he takes a spin down the backstretch.
All right, just prior to that last caution, we have a rundown of race cars on the lead lap, and then leader Chuck Bound, of course, then followed by Kenny Wallace, Bobby Dotter, Troy Beebe, and it was Jeff Burton, Todd Bodine, David Green, Jack Ingram moving up steadily through the field. That's a story we'll want to document further as this race progresses. An interesting story there in the car he's running today. And it's Tom Peck, the Mike Wallace battered and banged machine. Ed Barrier, Elton Sawyer, who made a great move underneath as we go back to green flag action. And once again, Steve Grissom tries to make the move, but this time Kenny Wallace gets underneath him. And Grissom, great power, great torque.
He did a tremendous job there because Wallace gave him a real pop as they started into turn 1 there. But Grissom's car is just a little bit quicker and should be quicker in the corners right now because he has fresher tires on than the other two.
I mean, a real question that we need to be watching as they pull away by 12 car lengths from second place Kenny Wallace is just, as you mentioned moments ago, just how much of the race cars Chuck Bound using up, trying to maintain the lead and keep Grissom a lap down as he goes to the outside, takes a look, tries to get back on the lead circuit.
A new tack for Steve Grissom. He couldn't get by on the inside because Bound was hugging the rail of the racetrack. He'll now try the outside, and Chuck Bound's driving theory is, if a man wants to go around me, I'll give him plenty of room because that's the hard way around.
Absolutely, and Grissom didn't take any time at all driving right by him. Car showing extreme good handling right now early on in the race. I still think that Grissom has the quickest car on the racetrack, but he's still a lap and a half down.
And that's a battle back in the pack as now Kenny Wallace is coming on to pit road. Now they can't pit for tires under caution. He's coming in under green. This is an unscheduled pit stop as they go to the right side of that Cox-treated lumber Pontiac.
What a very tough break. They could have come in just a while back, and apparently the trouble started as soon as he took the green flag. And a lot of times, Glenn, while you're riding around slow, you don't know you have a tire going down.
Well, that's true. And, you know, it also could be he gave Grissom a pretty good shot there on the restart. He could have knocked the fender in on the tire. They're having problems right now. The air hose hung in the car, hung up under the right front fender. He's down and away now, but that cost him about an extra 10 to 15 seconds. That lost time in the pits is awfully tough to make up on the racetrack.
And that is also something that has plagued this man at this Speedway. He is just snake bit here. He hasn't run that many races, but truth to tell, he has yet to finish better than 6th here at South Boston in any of his previous Grand National starts.
All this scrambling has allowed Chuck Bound to open up a lead of 4.17 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but on a third-mile racetrack, that's a ton of space between first and second.
Well, it is, Mark. It's about a third of a lap, and we're seeing a lot of cars right now starting, and we got big trouble now coming down the front stretch. There's a bumper come off a car.
And that is
was Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace, that's right. And that will definitely bring out the caution. As you can see, the debris, a piece of sheet metal that nobody wants to run over.
Kenny Wallace's car was off the pace, slowly moving down the front straightaway. A car came up from behind him, didn't know Kenny was off the throttle, and just jammed him from behind. You see it broke a big piece of that Cox-treated lumber Pontiac off and dropped it right in the middle of the front straightaway.
These drivers are really having their hands full, not just with each other, but with the racetrack. And at this rate, folks, we will indeed set a record. We'll come back and watch them clear more debris in just a moment from South Boston, Virginia. more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. Well, with all the nuttiness here at South Boston, Virginia, our new race leader is Bobby Dotter. The first time he has led this year, an uncustomary position as the green flag is back out, and he has to do a nice move to get around David Green, who just ducked off a pit road. And you can see the bottleneck of traffic there as Bobby Labonte had to go up high, but they somehow managed to sort themselves out. That was a close call for at least a dozen cars.
That was a close call for the whole field because those were the lead cars coming down there. I can't believe that the NASCAR officials did not stop David Green from entering the racetrack at that time. They should have made him wait and fall at the end of the field.
Bobby Dotter getting some heavy pressure from Jeff Burton. A year ago, Burton pressured Chuck Bound in Noah, finished second in this race. Dotter, of course, still trying to win his first career Busch Grand National Series event. Looks very strong in one of the few unmarked, undamaged race cars as we just moved past the halfway mark of this Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
We're on lap 159 of the 300 that'll make up this event. And as we've been mentioning all along, it looks like we're on a record pace for cautions if this keeps up. Sitting back in the third position is the Ed Barrier car on the right side of the screen there at 33. Then it's Todd Bodine. But here's a great battle up front. Bobby Dotter from Chicago, Illinois. He's had a pretty difficult season. A driver who toils here without much notoriety. His best finish was 9th at Hickory, but he's really been running in all but one of the events at the finish, but for a variety of bad luck and other situations, really hasn't been able to put the kind of finishes together he'd like. His father still runs the ARCA series, that Midwest stock car series, and they certainly learned from him. Now he's trying to teach a few lessons to everybody else in the field today, but Jeff Burton, who cut his teeth here at this Speedway, is having a great run. You can see how the cars arc out around the track. I mean, it's really a circle, as you mentioned before, Glenn. And now, where does the fatigue factor start setting in? Well,
so far, because of the extreme number of cautions, the drivers haven't had a chance to get tired. They don't run but 15 or 20 laps under green. And when the caution comes out, you're slowing down. All that strain and stress and G-forces are not at work on you. So it hasn't been too bad on them so far.
There's just been 2 lead changes among 2 drivers so far in this race. The average speed, a very pokey turtle-like 59.813 miles per hour. 11 caution flags for 42 laps. And again, our current leader from Chicago, Illinois, Bobby Dotter, a very good young driver looking to score his first victory this afternoon here in Virginia.
Guys, if my counting is correct, you're seeing Bobby Dotter being pressured by Jeff Burton there. We'll go a little bit further back into the pack, and you'll see car number 11, Jack Ingram, a 5-time national champion, has moved up into 5th position. He was very strong in practice. He had a poor qualifying run. By his own admission, he said he just goofed up, but he's moved up to 5th place now.
Well, maybe one of the very best moves we've seen this entire race was by Kenny Wallace's crew about 20 laps ago as he came onto pit road without brakes. Now, on pit road with our Bill Hennessy is one of the men who had quick feet. Let's check in with Bill now.
What an unusual pit stop Kenny Wallace just made. He almost took it right on home in the trailer. Was that by design?
Well, again, rubber caliper. We figured we could get it real slow and just right up the ramp of the trailer and stop it. Coming a little higher than we thought. We didn't wreck Rusty's trailer. He's probably wondering about that. The trailer's okay. We got the caliper fixed, so we got a couple of laps, but we still got a lot of laps to go.
That was a costly stop to the current points leader.
And just as he was talking about the problems they had in the pits, Kenny Wallace has problems on the racetrack. Our Grand National points leader brings out caution number 12, but he had a lot of help.
He certainly did. Chuck Bound pounded him coming out of turn 4, cut him across the racetrack. Bound did not get out of that scot-free. You see it here out of turn 4. They got behind Gary Neese. It looked like Kenny got off the throttle a little bit, and Chuck just pow right there.
That's exactly what happened, Mark. Kenny had to drive up out of the groove, and the car started the back end started to break loose just a little bit. Had to get out of the gas. Chuck had already accelerated. That's just one of those things you've heard it 1,000 times, but it's true. That's just racing on a short track.